Well, what a finish we have here to my first season at Southend. We are back today, 5 weeks after the league season finished, for a very special occasion. It's non-league finals day. We're already 3 weeks into the transfer window, so we've got some summer work that's been done early. We're playing Chesterfield, a side who missed out on promotion in the FA Trophy final. Yes, hello, and welcome along to part 8 of Saving Southend with me, Daniel. My voice is just about safe for today as we come back for the FA Trophy final, a fantastic finale to Season 1. We have got injury problems, as you can see at the top, pretty familiar ones, as you might have noticed as well. But as we come back 5 weeks after the season, we've actually got quite a lot of transfer work and other stuff off the pitch too. Our job is untouchable according to the fan base because we've rewarded them with this day at Wembley. If you're looking forward to seeing how we do, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. You can see Chesterfield narrowly missed out on promotion, actually lost to Eastleigh in the semi-final of the playoffs. But Solihull went on to beat them in the final and join Woking in heading to the Football League. Some very quick updates as well before we get to our stuff. The two teams that will be joining us in non-league next year from League 2. Well, there's a little surprise there because Harrogate are joined by Newport County, who finished bottom of the league by 14 points. Little bit of an odd one there, especially with the likes of Notts County in mid-table and Stockport as well. But let's get back to our team because we've got a lot to get through here. We are planning to do our season review and little look ahead to the summer after this game, but I've got to do a bit of it before because we're 3 weeks into the transfer window, which opened straight after the National League playoff final in this game. And now in non-league, we've been able to bring in a few players. A couple of great youngsters have joined and John Still is doing his work again. We're a bit tight on wages now. We're going to have to wait for people to leave next summer. But overall, I'm really pleased with where we're at. So let's go and quickly have a look at the results we've had. And then we'll go and have a look at the transfer window because we finished the season in a bit of mixed form. We've played a couple of friendlies against available sides, one local and one in non-league because lots of other teams have been in action, and for 5 weeks off, Chesterfield have played in the playoffs. They've got match fitness, so I tried to get a few minutes legs into everyone, but the games that we played off camera, we actually fell to defeat. The first game after that Ebbsfleet win you saw, we lost at home to Boreham Wood by 2-1, a frustrating game, and to be fair, Boreham Wood doing what they do best. Gideon Kadua, I think a legend of our FM22 head coach at Dover, he popped up with a crucial winner there. Against Dartford in the FA Trophy, we won comfortably. Harry Cardwell with the penalty in the first half. Bridge and a Mooney brace wrapped it up. We beat leaders Woking 3-1, who actually won the league in the end. Dan Mooney back to form and fitness with a hat-trick. Away at Fylde, a pretty decent 1-1 draw. We managed to get the equaliser through Callum Powell in the second half. We did, though, lose by 2-0 at eventual playoff winner Solihull. Just too good on a Tuesday night, and again, the 3 game weeks is where we've fallen down, something we're trying to address this summer. We finished in style with a flourish against Rochdale, a 3-0 victory at home, Cardwell with a brace, Ben Stevens with one off the bench, and a really good performance. What I did make sure is in those last 2 or 3 games that everyone got a debut. Joe Rye came on in that one with Stevens. The one before we had the likes of Tommy Smith come on. The only one I couldn't give a debut was the star from the youth intake because worryingly, he got injured straight away. So today we play the FA Trophy final 5 weeks later, and this week we've picked up 2 injuries which are going to be problematic. The first one is our first choice goalkeeper who was really improving. Now backup goalkeeper Dave Martin is now complaining and is unhappy at the club because I've not offered him permanent terms. The second one is Jack Earing who was improving, was training well. He's now injured for 5 weeks and will be out until the start of pre-season. So we're missing 2 key players. But we have got some additions. Now let's go and have a look at them because the transfer window opened on the 5th of May and I couldn't just wait because we had an FA Trophy final coming up. So we've got a couple of new players in today that could potentially feature. Let's have a look at the start of our summer work. No players out so far, but 2 players have come in. Both released from Manchester United. We had a couple of defensive-minded players and a couple of wingers come in. We couldn't afford the wages of the wingers, but these 2 that John Stiller spotted are absolutely brilliant. Jack Kingdon is the first one. He is a central defender, a Scottish under-19 international, who can also cover at right back. So Looking at next season, away from home, we're going to need 6 centre halves. We're also going to need centre halves and right back cover for when we're playing the back four at home. And Kingdon does all of that. I mean, he's quick, he's good defensively, he's pretty good mentally as well. I mean, we've got a little gem there at 18. He's someone who could become a Football League player, could become someone that we sell on for a profit. He signed a 2-year deal. He's got a minimum fee release of 220 grand. And while it isn't ideal to have to put those release clauses in, it is the only way we can sign players of this quality. And if we can bring 3 players in for free and sell them for a combined 500,000, it's probably not a bad deal, is it? So Kingdom will come in, we'll get a season out of him, then we'll see if he gets moved on. The other one is maybe not quite so good immediately, but I think has even bigger potential. Jack Morehouse is an 18-year-old Irish midfielder. Now, unlike the other lad, he's come in for a tiny wage as a future prospect with no clauses. So this guy is one of ours. He is naturally fit, and when I look for a centre midfielder in non-league, this attribute is by far the most important. Natural fitness is 16. Everything else physically is good. He's almost 6 foot. He's a strong enough lad, and he's very good on the ball as well. We've got ourselves a little gem there. He'll get regular football off the bench, probably not long before he works his way in. For 2 signings early in the summer, they are exceptional ones. John Still, well done to your team for spotting them because the scouts have been absolutely brilliant. We've got that mix of players coming up from the lower leagues like Joe Rye, people coming down from the top leagues like Kingdon and Morehouse, and people with a point to prove who are experienced like Erin and Hilton. It is a really lovely blend, and John Still is doing a lot of what I hoped he would. So brilliant stuff on the pitch, brilliant stuff off it, and hopefully a few more to follow later in the summer. But overall, we've almost built the squad we want already. There's probably only 3 or 4 signings we need to make this summer. We might end up doing more. If we get offers for players now where we can bring transfer fees in, we can start securing the future of the club as well. So I'm thrilled with that. Let's go and get through to the fixtures though, because we are playing the FA Trophy final. Chesterfield finished second in the league despite missing out on promotion. We of course drew with them 0-0 away from home a few episodes ago. We should bear in mind here that if we win this final today, we will have beaten all of the top 3 of the National League. We've beaten Solihull Moors, we've beaten Woking on penalties. We've earned this if we get it, but I'm not sure we will. Let's go and get through to the fixtures and play the big game. We're off to Wembley, and for the first time, I'm not watching non-league finals day as a fan. I'm watching it as a manager. 56,000 in, about 10,000 more than normal, but then Southend and Chesterfield I'm sure would bring plenty compared to some of the northern clubs. Let's go and get through to it. Daniel Carnu, who's at Southend in real life, is at Chesterfield here. They've got the likes of Colclough, Jacobs, Ollie Banks. They've got quality everywhere. So let's go and get our team picked. We're going to play, I think, the 4-4-2. I'm not entirely sure. I'm looking at the way they're setting up and seeing how do we provide problems for them. Because if we play 2 in midfield, we're leaving 4 on 4 at the back. I think I might set up with our away tactic here and go for the 5 at the back. We'll find out if it's the right decision as we go along, but I'm edging towards the back 5. Let's go and get the team picked. We'll be back in a minute to run through it. Well, despite the fact that the assistant has recommended otherwise, I've made a decision today, which is the 2 new boys are not going to start, even though they're probably good enough to. We're going to stick with a squad that's done well for us this season. It's cohesive, it's well balanced as well. And then we'll bring those 2 on if we need them, because we don't actually have a backup centre-half that's fit, which is why I have to put Kingdon there. Morehouse again, probably the best of the midfielders, with Coker the only other option. So this is the team we've gone for in full. It is David Martin in goal. Not ideal, because Ndee had been playing all the way through to the build-up of this, and then he's picked up an injury 3 or 4 days before. We should remember though that until Martin's injury, he was the first choice till about, February, and he was brilliant. We've got Taylor, Lomas and Kensdale the back 3. Scott Morris and Carson are the wing backs, with Norhusin and Titchmarsh in centre midfield. Titchmarsh out of contract at the end of June. We're going to try, but I'm not sure we'll be able to tempt him in. Dan Mooney playing off the right today, with Jack Bridge and Harry Cardwell making up the rest of the front 3. Between them, they have got 71 goals this season. Scoring has not been a problem. Let's hope we can do that again a few times today as we face Chesterfield in the FA Trophy final. Well, here we go. As Chesterfield make a change in goal, it would normally be Ryan Boot in the league games, but they seem to have rotated for this one. They have dropped out a few others though. They've got a strong bench and they've also got a very strong 11. Paul Cook will be devastated to miss out on promotion, but this is a day for the supporters. Enjoy it Let them enjoy it too. And hopefully you don't freeze on the big stage because it has been a bit of a mixed finish to the season and it does have the potential to go wrong, doesn't it? They've got an experienced side, but maybe we can take advantage physically in certain areas. I am gambling a bit on the tactic though, and I'm just hoping it works out. I'm pretty famous for having very dull cup finals, staying in a game and forcing a result. So let's see if we can do it today. Southend v Chesterfield into the first half. Well, not the ideal start to this final because no highlights and another injury to Dan Mooney. Is he injury prone? Apparently not. But that must be his fourth for the season at least. He has had 4 injuries already. He did have a bruised shin in training the other day, but it was no doubt for this one. And it's his third proper strain as well. His hamstrings seem to be made of glass, and if Shrewsbury do come in again this summer, maybe we have to take it. We're going to replace him with Sonny Hilton, who's a younger lad with plenty of quality. Callum Powell is there as well if we need him later, but not the perfect start to our day at Wembley. Quarter of the game gone, it's been a very quiet one, but we have got a corner kick now with Carson. Would be a lovely time to pop up with a dirty set piece. Back post just over. Titchmarsh was up, he heads over the bar. Probably should have hit the target there. Chesterfield have offered very little. We've not offered a lot more, but we have had one good chance. And this is my cup final personified. Keep them tight, keep it cagey, and then force the hand late on as Taylor gets it at the back for Scott Morris. Bit of possession won't hurt here. Don't let the team get momentum. As Lomas at the back finds Titchmarsh again. It's got support from the left with Kensdale. He goes wide to Carson. Back inside again. Not the best pass, but we make enough of it because Chesterfield not really putting that much pressure on in attacking areas. Taylor gets the ball again on the right side and it's a long highlight which might lead to a special goal. Hilton waiting for Scott Morris on the overlap and he's off again. Scott Morris goes down the line. Chance to cross. There's options in the middle. Cardwell's won. We know he loves a goal. He's got his head in his hands. So have I. I would have put my life savings on him to score that. Harry Cardwell has been a machine this season. And weirdly, he's looking a bit tired again, despite the fact we've only played 2 friendlies in 5 weeks. At half-time, though, it's 0-0. We've been the better side here, for sure. But it's not looking good at the minute because we've not taken a couple of good chances. And Chesterfield have got quality. They'll grow into it eventually. I've got to be careful with Cardwell as well because Hilton's not that fit on the bench. And now we've lost Mooney due to injury as well. We've not really got many options up there. An hour gone, it's been a pretty quiet start to the second half. But Chesterfield looking the fitter based on what we can see from the touchline tablet. Lomas is 1 yellow from a suspension. That sort of dugout instruction. It's really got to go in the finals. We're down to the last 10 minutes and I think we're going to do it. We're being told to take Cardwell off. Hilton is coming on. If ever there's a game for you to step up, Danny. Last episode you scored a cracker off the bench. I wouldn't mind one today. We've got Carson struggling left wing back. We've got a few nerves in midfield with Husin. I think I'm going to stick with the ones that have done us well this year. So Powell will come on for Carson. Jack Bridge will drop back to left wing back. And we're going to leave it at that. We're sticking with the originals for the final 10. But I think extra time looks inevitable at the minute. We've got 2 minutes added on. And there we go. We're through the 90. And we're going into another 30. Can we make a 4th sub? Because we're struggling a bit. Husin for Morehouse would be the ideal one. We can do it. Jack Morehouse, what a time for a debut. We can either put him as... I don't really know what's best for him here. I mean, a Mazzala would be ideal. But I think I'm going to leave him box to box. He's got the legs for it. We've got the quality for it. Let's just get into the game. Fitness is going to trump everything at this point. There's an extra 30. I mean, we beat Woking on penalties. You saw us beat Dorking on pens as well. Maybe it's the season for penalty shootouts, though Chesterfield have other ideas with a corner. Banks in at the front post. It is against the runner play overall. But Lomas missed the challenge. It was a little bit too easy. And at half-time in extra time, do I stick or twist? Because we can go 4-4-2. We've actually played well in this formation. I'm going to go positive. We're going to chase the game a little bit. And the last 5, I might chuck 2 up front. We've encouraged them, but it's Chesterfield on the ball again as Best finds Freckleton. And this our right to Jacobs. He's doing well to get for 120. But it's back to Best again. We're not really pressing them that high, and we've lost that pace now that Hilton's on as well. We might have to chuck support up with him. Titchmarsh wins it back. Powell can break away. This is the moment. He's got support on the right. Powell goes to Hilton. Morehouse overlapping. Could he be an instant hero? Back to Hilton. Sonny Hilton scores. It's 1-1. Morehouse with the assist just 18 minutes into his debut. He comes on for his first ever professional game at Wembley, and he sets up an equaliser to get us back in it. Sonny Hilton scores. He's had a bit of a mixed year for someone with real quality. With 15 seconds to go, we might have just dragged the penalty shootout out of this, though hang on a minute, because Chesterfield are having one last go. This would be heartbreak. Banks picks it up. Through ball to Kanu. Oh no. Oh no. The man at Southend in real life who rejected me in this save has just scored the winner in the 121st minute. That is heartbreak. And it was undeserved on the balance of play. Penalties would have been fair. But football and life isn't fair sometimes. Daniel Kanu. Oh, it's a fitting finish to the season, isn't it? But let's look at the positives here. We've got ourselves up to mid-table. If it weren't for points deductions, we would have been in the playoffs. And the way we've played against some of these top sides, if we can add 2 or 3 more next year, I really think we're going to be contenders, certainly for the playoffs and possibly even for the title. A brilliant season, finishes with heartbreak, but lovely for the Southend fans to have a day out at Wembley. Let's go and get through to our end of season review. We'll be back in a minute to plan for next season. Well, here we return for our end of season review, and while there's not that shiny trophy we were hoping for at the bottom, there has been a lot of good news at the club in the last 2 days. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's have a look through this season though, because look, one appearance, Jack Morehouse, is already a star at this club. But we have signed some very good players this year. If we could keep Titchmarsh next season, brilliant. But Morehouse and Earing will probably replace him if not. And there's only actually a couple of weaknesses in the squad now going into the summer. Overall, very happy with all the players we had in. And to be honest with you, they actually give us a bit of depth and versatility for both of our tactics. So thrilled with that. Transfers out. None of them were our choices apart from Cabongolo, who we released after Jack Rye came in. In terms of loans out, a few players doing well in the lower leagues. Jack Wett might be involved next year, but Cavan Miley is going to be gone in the summer. We've set him for release, and thankfully, the bad egg will be out the dressing room. Season results, I've got to be pleased. We finished 11th place. If it wasn't for the points deduction, we would have been 6th. And if we can match that next season, I will consider it a very good year. I'm hoping with a couple of good additions, we can be in that mix with a sort of top 5 from this year. Chesterfield not going up, probably a problem for us because they're going to have a bigger budget and more ability to do well. And of course, there's a couple of good sides coming down. But either way, I'd expect us to be in that top 7 mix. Let's not forget though, based on what we've achieved, that around here after that Rochdale game at the end of September, we were being talked about for the sack. And if we hadn't come back from 3-0 down against title winners Woking back in early October, the game that we saw on camera, there is every chance we might have been out of a job. So the board get rewarded for their patience. The FA Cup, really disappointed not to make the 3rd round, but in the end, it allowed us to survive comfortably. And heartbreak at the end against Chesterfield, 0-0 after 90, 1-1 after 120, but we didn't account for the stoppage time. And unfortunately, a man at Southend in real life who we couldn't get in this save is the man who cost us in the end. But oh well. Biggest win, a 5-0 at Hartlepool, which was brilliant, and it actually came off the back of a defeat, I'm pretty sure. A 2-1 win against Chesterfield was the match to remember in the National League, but unfortunately, we couldn't do that in the FA Trophy final. And goal of the season came all the way back in October, with Harry Taylor scoring a screamer. Let's go and get through the finances though. Everything looking okay at the minute, but we've not got a previous year to compare it on. The big news though comes from the inbox items. Good best 11, the front 2 were fantastic. Mooney is now out till pre-season next year. And Nathan Ralph, bit of a glitch there because it's showing his form at his new club rather than his form from us this season. Let's go and get through to it though, because the accolades are all great. Harry Cardwell, 42 goals in all competitions, 36 in the National League. He was the top scorer in the division. And history in the making as we got up to mid-table from -10 and also went to Wembley in a cup final. The manager timeline is good, We're setting goal records on the attacking front. We got a couple of Manager of the Month awards towards the end of the season, and Harry Cardwell got Player of the Season, which I'm hoping he'll be able to back up next year. If you have a quick look at what the expectations are before I show you the exciting news, followers on social media, not really changed. Neither is the supporter profile. In terms of club vision, well, there is the minimum expectation. Reach the playoffs next year. I think that's fair if I'm being honest with you, particularly when we take into account what they've given us to do it. So we'll accept that. We will go through the squad in a minute, and the end of season team meeting we'll do off camera. Offer for Southend's Taylor. Harry Taylor's getting a couple of offers. I mean, I'm happy to accept some this year, but I'm not accepting 10 grand for good footballers from League One clubs in particular. So we might need to up that a little bit. But let me show you the exciting news, because we got our transfer budgets yesterday, and they're pretty good. We have been given a wage budget of 26 grand, which is about 5 grand a week more than we've got this year. We've also been given a transfer budget of 350 grand. Now, those of you that have followed me for a long time will know I'm not going to be spending that. I'm going to up the wage bill very slightly so I can bring in a few good youngsters. What I'm mainly going to do is infrastructure. I'm going to try and add another coach to the team so we can improve the young players coming in. I'm going to try and improve the recruitment team so we can look out for more players. And I'm going to try and expand our scouting knowledge so we can find more of these brilliant players across the EFL and Premier League clubs. So that's always the way I work in these one club challenges. Improving things off the pitch are just as important as improving things on it. And at non-league level, whether you spend money on a player or getting loans and free transfers, it doesn't make much difference. So let's use that money wisely in the infrastructure of the club. I do want to tell one quick funny transfer story though, because we were getting a few experienced players popping up who might have been worth signing. And one of them was a player called Lyle Taylor, who you may remember from the Championship in recent years. We were pipped to him by AFC Fylde, who blew us out of the water financially and offered £4,400 a week to him on a 1-year deal. So they've blown all their budget on one player. I think you can see how good he would have been alongside Harry Cardwell, but as it is, unfortunately, he's gone to a rival. So if other clubs are doing that as well, we might have a bit of a tougher job reaching the playoffs next year, because that's a huge signing at National League level. Let's go and get through to our squad though and show you what we plan for next year. And we'll do so by having a look at the squad planner, because this is what we've got at the moment. I've decided I'm going to release David Martin because he's 38 and he's declining. He's not happy to accept a contract unless he's the first choice goalkeeper, which he's not good enough for anymore. But with Ndee's injury record, we're going to need a stronger backup than we would perhaps otherwise go for. So number 2 that's strong is going to be important. Goalkeeper is one area we've got to improve. A right back, I'm relatively happy. We've got Scott Morris, who is a clear first choice. Jack James is a good young player, and he's going to be someone we can work with next season. On the left-hand side, we've got more of a problem because we obviously lost Ralph midway through the season. We replaced him with a lone player in Carson. So next season, we've only really got our backup, Tommy Smith. A first choice left back is a priority, probably the biggest one of the summer. The centre halves are now excellent because we got Kingdon in early in the window. We've also got Kensdale and Lomas fit from the start. We've got Joe Rye as a very good young backup. Harry Taylor can cover there or midfield, which is great for the 2 tactics we play. When we need a back 3, him and Tommy Smith can cover as the 5th and 6th man. So I'm happy with both of them, and unless a superstar comes up or we lose one of these, because Lewis Lomas does want to go, but he's got a year on his contract, and selling someone for 50 grand or losing them for free doesn't make much of a difference at this level. So I think we'll be sticking with what we've got in that position for now. On the right of midfield, we've got Sonny Hilton, we've got Callum Powell, we've got the young player Hurley through. If we can get a great player, yes, because there were a couple we looked at. I'm thinking probably one player for out wide, and it's more likely at the minute that we're going to need someone on the left because Jack Bridge is wanted. He won't sign a permanent contract because they want him like 2 grand a week. We just can't afford that. So he's probably going to move on to an EFL club, as Nathan Ralph did in January. But he's been a good servant. He's done a job for us. I have no complaints. Callum Powell and Dan Mooney can play out there, but we're going to need a bit more than that. So the left side of the pitch is probably where most of the issues are for now. Up front, not quite so much of a problem. Cardwell is a great first choice striker. Hilton can now give him the odd 20, 15, 30 minutes rest, whatever's needed. Then alongside him, Dan Mooney has been a superstar. A little bit injury prone though, so if we can get one better backup striker in, or another striker like Lyle Taylor, who we were looking at, and I would like that alongside. But away from home now, we're only playing one up front, so I don't want to be overloaded with strikers. If we can get one in, maybe it'll be one who can also play off the left or right, just to give us a bit more versatility and them a few more playing opportunities. But that is my plan for the squad this summer. The wage bill is relatively calm. We've got no one on more than they were at the start. A couple of players took slight wage cuts. One, I think Dan Mooney took a slight increase, but he's on 1.2 as well. And the great thing with what John still did with those backup players like Morehouse, like Rye, like Jack James, is that they're all on relatively low wages. And they fill voids in the squad for 5-10 games a season, make a few sub appearances. They're happy with that. And they also keep the wage bill down at the club. So it frees up our loan spots to bring in genuine replacements if we have a problem. But aside from the left-hand side of the pitch and another goalkeeper, I don't really think we need a lot this summer. So let me know down in the comments if you agree with my assessment of the squad. Do you think we're going to make the playoffs next year? I mean, evidence would suggest we will, based on the fact we would have this season without the points deduction. I know we're probably going to lose one player, and Harry Cardwell is starting to get interest. If we do get offered £500,000, which is the top end of his guide value, we might find it hard to hold on to him, because at non-league level, that is a hard sum of money to reject, especially when you consider that is basically 50% of what we've got in the bank. So we're going to have to be careful with some of those big ones. I love to keep Cardwell. Bridge, I'm not as worried about. If you enjoyed this episode though, a crushing finish to the season against Chesterfield, but a very good season overall. And please do put a thumbs up on the video. Are you surprised to see Chesterfield not win promotion? I certainly was, I've got to be honest. And a few surprises going down as well, particularly Bromley, who are often up competing in the top 7. We will be back though next time out for what should be a very exciting pre-season transfer special. We are going to have a quick one-day break tomorrow because I'm not going to be able to get through to the new season in time. So tomorrow morning I've got a fun little special save ideas video planned, and then we will be back on Sunday morning with this one to begin our second season at Southend United. In the meantime though, we will have that special video tomorrow morning. The head coach will continue every day at 3:30. If you're looking forward to all of that and you want to stay up to date, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. You can find links to both of these FM24 playlists up in the eye above, as well as some of our other save ideas, the Twitch channel and the football podcast too. But thank you very much for following an eventful and an enjoyable first season here at Southend. Hopefully the next season will finish with a bit more glory, but for now, I've got a lot of summer work to do, so I'll see you on Sunday morning for the start of season 2.